Previously on how to... Wait, we don't have to do it this time? Excellent!
Powercrunch!
Why did we even have the cold opening if we didn't need it? Whatever. Hello and welcome back to How To Versus. I am the host, Electric Star. Today, we will be discussing a topic that challenges the defender's true knowledge of the character's methods, or might end up as horrible wank. Here we go with prep time. So, what is prep time? Are you expecting me to say it is as the name implies, which has more or less become my friggin' catchphrase by this point? Well, you'd be right, prep time is as the name implies, giving a character or character's preparation time before a battle. Be it a day, a week, a month, a year, or even a decade and beyond for the sake of testing their level of crazy preparedness and how it may turn the tides of battle in their favor. When prep time is in play, the combatant or combatants are allowed to call upon their canon skills. Skills like obtaining information on their opponent, increasing their own knowledge and learning new skills, or be given the chance to stockpile or even build their best weapons and armors they wouldn't typically have on them, save for specific events in their career. When a character is given prep time, both in versus debating and in their respective canons, they become a much greater threat to their enemies. This can allow a much weaker character to overcome and defeat a much stronger character, and is often a decent way for writers to create such a scenario, keep it relatively interesting, and not having to whip out the plot-induced stupidity sledgehammer. Remember when I said in the plot-induced stupidity episode that a good example of PIS is when a vastly inferior character or team defeats a vastly superior one? Canonical prep time on the inferior side can potentially be a good way to prevent PIS, and thank goodness it exists. Otherwise, I'd be smacking more people over the head with a shovel. The amount of usefulness prep time is for a character entirely depends on the character's level of intelligence, access to resources, canon method of obtaining information, and actual ability to take advantage of said uncovered information. If the combatant in question is an idiot with very little items to work with, it's unlikely that prep time is going to help them out much. As the case with all versus debating topics, there are some rules in regards to using prep time in a versus debate. Makes sense because otherwise anything would go and that's just asking for trouble. The rules include: characters initiating combat during prep time is a big no-no, as it pretty much destroys the entire concept and point of prep time. Combat shall only begin after the stated amount of prep time is used up. Then the characters can proceed to do crimes against humanity to each other.
That just ain't right!
If the character is a canonically skilled planner, you as the defender need to defend your character, and whip up a situation or plan that would indeed be within the realms of possibility that the character would think up. If you think the character would create a plan so outlandish, so out of character, so utterly absurd, then it's not going to be considered and you will most likely be pointed and laughed at. Simply just saying something along the lines of, "He's a genius, he'll find a way," is not going to cut it. I've dealt with morons like that in the past, primarily on TV tropes. Don't be like those morons. Please, do not be like those morons. Bouncing off from the previous one, the prep time needs to be in character. So you're not going to see things like a purely heroic character holding their enemy's family hostage, or having an honest, honorable warrior fly to another planet and force their combatant to come to them, risking their lives in the process and likely weakening them from the long trip. But note the keywords I used: purely heroic, honest, and honorable. If it's something extremely out of character, then eyebrows are going to be raised quite high at you, so please be careful. For some characters, prep time may not even be needed, as they have a power, technique, or item such as a gadget that quickly and reliably gathers information on the enemy during combat. Powers like mind reading, abilities like extremely photographic memories, gadgets like some kind of super high-tech biological scanner that identifies weak points and weaknesses of their enemy. Who knows? Prep time may still be allowed, but it's useful for the defender as well as the character they're defending if they have a set of skills to get even more information. Knowledge is power! However, on the flip side, for some characters, prep time may be useless against them. The character's opponent may possess some kind of precognition or time travel power.
They can't see the future!
Simply put, they know that their opponent knows about them and can prevent that from being a hindrance. But every so often, sometimes there are characters that are literally so unpredictable, so random, that trying to prepare for a fight against them is a huge waste of time. This is typically the case for extremely cartoony characters like anything from Tex Avery or Chuck Jones, and Walt Disney to a lesser extent. Now, as you can imagine by this point, this aspect of versus debating is prone to severe wank, especially in regards to characters who are famous for their skill at prep time before even laying a finger on their opponent. If you're part of the versus community and you don't eventually come across something along the lines of, "With prep time, they can defeat anyone, even the omnipotent," I will assume you haven't been part of this community for very long. Fair warning to all the newcomers watching this, you will come across these kinds of people at some point. Just don't listen to them. They're wanking. Just please don't take what they say as gospel. Many forms of prep time wank include, but are certainly not limited to, claiming a combatant who is a skilled inventor can just invent a super nuke to drop on their opponent. Claiming a character with a large collection of items will, logically, have access to a weapon of apocalyptic power. Claiming a character who is a somewhat fast learner can master all forms of combat in 2 weeks. I wish I was speaking hypothetically, but this one is plucked straight from a person I remember from not too long ago. Ugh. Now, once again, the examples and all the other unmentioned forms here are subjective. There do indeed exist sadistic nuke-making inventors and adventurers with access to godly powerful items, but 99.9% of the time, the character in question doesn't actually have such, and the defender is just wanking. Now, depending on your viewpoint, perhaps the most well-known character who best works with prep time is Batman. Yeah, come on, seriously, you really didn't think we weren't going to mention Batman on an episode about prep time? Seriously? Batman's feats of prep time have allowed him to defeat a vast collection of superior foes, create kryptonites, and whip up a slew of plans and gambits. Yes, exactly like that, editor. Still, wank is a thing, and overzealous fans of the Bat will claim that he can beat anyone with enough prep. While he certainly becomes a much bigger threat to his enemies, he's not unbeatable. Just about no other character in fiction is. Wow, that sounded more depressing than I thought it would. Let's move on before bad things happen, because I'm all too aware I'm dancing on hot coals right now. Well, still, I'm kind of hesitant to mention other examples of characters who benefit greatly from prep time, since it's like running across a live minefield, but other examples of characters who use prep time include Iron Man, the Doctor, and John Constantine. Okay, there I go, I mentioned 3 characters. Am I safe now? Damn it! Wait, no. No. Editor, I reveal my own form of prep time. You've openly admitted that you like pissing me off and torturing me in regards to talking about uncomfortable subjects and verses, so I made sure to give the prominent character examples at the very end of the episode. Exactly! More or less. You're not buying this, are you? Crap. Well, regardless, we're done with this topic. If you have any questions or anything you want to know more about, leave a comment and we might get back to you. This is Electric Star signing out, and I'll see you all in the next episode. I'm running for my life now. Bye!
Catch me if you can, editor!